The experience of no self. First of all, I have a book recommendation for you. If you're curious about what is this experience of no self, I've found that there are not a lot of videos or books out there really truly describing what the, and I'm going to put quote unquote, experience of no self is about. However, the book, The Experience of No Self by Bernadette Roberts, is fantastic, spot on. It's great. It is such a great book. I had heard about this book or about Bernadette Roberts, gosh, so many times over the several years. And you know how you hear something and you go, oh, I'm going to be interested in this one, but not now. And the name or the book keeps coming into your awareness. Well, I guess now was the time for me to read this because I have just so many questions and lots of integration going on. And this was the time for me to get this book. And it was one of those, as you're reading it, you're going, yes, yes. Oh God, that makes sense. I feel so much better now that I've read it. Anyway, this is a great distillation of her experience of no self. And she also has, there's only one video on YouTube of Bernadette Roberts, and it's like a 3-hour long lecture. And it's a little difficult to listen to. It's kind of like your grandmother telling you about stuff, giving you a lecture, but it's so clear. I totally recommend listening to it. It's very clear, where she describes for you the difference between self and no self, and she talks about the progression from self to no self. So I highly recommend that. Bernadette Roberts, The Experience of No Self. And my ahas or for the book, the things that I truly relate to, have experienced in my own life, is that I've said, she says some of the same things that I've said, and that's, God, do you know how comforting that is? Like, oh yeah, okay, I'm not crazy. And some of the things that I said, and I'm sure I've said on other videos, is that the experience of no self lacks experience. There's like no feeling. There's nothing going on. And she talks about this very same thing. We'll have another ding in just a second. I think I better put it on pause because someone needs me outside. Hold on. Okay, where was I? I was called outside for a long conversation. I think I was talking about, oh yes, how her experience in this book kind of matches what I'm experiencing, and now I don't feel so crazy. So about feeling nothing. She also states in there, and this really hit me, it hit me as so true, is that, or it's what I've been experiencing, is that you lose God. There's no more experience of God. And she says in here, you lose all trust. She says you forget about trying to find love or trust in the universe. It's kind of a weird way how she put it, but it just hit me like totally, I get it. And now we're getting bangs. I'll just keep rolling. She also said, which is something I kept saying to my friend and to myself, I can't tell the difference between being asleep and awake. And I thought, gosh, I must not have had this shift at all. You know, just really questioning myself. And she says right here in the book that she can no longer discriminate between self, self meaning ego self, the separate self, and the no self. So that was quite comforting. So I highly recommend this book and her video. And I thought I would just share, I don't know if it's a metaphor or an analogy, how I see or experience no self. So if you can imagine a snow globe, and in this snow globe, so everything inside of the glass, all the worlds, everything, you would, everything in there is the manifested world. That is the Shakti energy, Shakti consciousness. This is, and let me say that inside the glass and the glass itself is all the world of consciousness. So what's going on inside of the glass, the villages and all the people, that is the Shakti energy, the manifested consciousness. She is the dark energy. She holds all the colors available, all the light to her. And the glass itself is also consciousness, but it's the Shiva consciousness. It is the knowing energy. It is the potential, the creative, the ideas. It's that unmanifested consciousness. And that is the light or the white energy. And it's white because Shiva is giving all of his color, all of his light to Shakti consciousness, and that the feeling consciousness. So this whole snow globe, the glass and the inside, is all consciousness, all the realm of consciousness. But outside, around and sifting through this snow globe is the space, right? Well, that space to me is the no self. It is the spaceless space. It's outside of consciousness and yet penetrates everything within consciousness. But it is not an experience, right? Because everything within consciousness is an experience. But outside of consciousness, it is the stillness, awareness, only awareness, and it's not an experience. So, and this is why when I really settle into this no self feeling, or I don't know, draw all my attention to it, I don't know how to, the words, I can't figure them out. This is why I feel like I'm looking down on everything. I'm like seeing the top view of the snow globe, as well as at the same time feeling totally like a person in the snow globe. It's a crazy dynamic, but it's wonderful. So that I hope that paints a picture for you so you can see what this no self experience is like, because it's not an experience. And this is one of the hardest things that I can't let go of, the ingrained concept that being awake or whatever, this spiritual idea that suddenly you're going to have bliss, experience bliss, and life is going to be all whatever lovely, that you're going to feel one with everything. I can't let that go. And so I keep fighting this idea that no self is a no experience. Identification. I don't even know the words. I'm probably saying it all wrong. Anyway, what else did I want to say? It's just a really hard concept to let go. And here's what I want to say. This idea of, it just struck me before I did this video, that, you've heard it a million times, that they say that Lesha Vidya, that you can be a no self, but there's going to be a faint remains of ignorance. And I think the reason that they give is to keep you hold you in the body, that there has to be a sliver of self, the separate self, or an idea of a self here in order to keep you in the body. And I totally agree with that, and totally can understand that, because if you totally like poof, no self, you can't hardly function. And I know that experience has happened to people. that you can't function because there's no one here. So who's going to feed you and all that sort of stuff. And I know people have had that experience, but they come back, right? But this is what struck me, because I really, my mind is still not able to grasp that in this no self, I'm going to experience myself as totally separate and have still some things coming up. Of course, that's an integration process, 'cause I'm not fully integrated or stable, I'm sure. But what struck me today was that in no self, this is total balance or equanimity. So what I mean by balance, that as much as you experience yourself as a non-self, no one here, you're going to experience someone here. You're going to experience the separate self and the non-separate self all at the same time, because this state is total balance of the opposites, but you're going to hold it within you. So this really just hit me literally less than an hour ago, and it gives me great, great comfort. Yeah. What else do I want to say? You know, this realm of consciousness of the snow globe, you know, I've said it because I've read it, that they say that this no self or Brahman is beyond consciousness. And it feels to me like pure awareness. And I know people use these words interchangeably, and I think that's a whole nother discussion. But I can't figure out, is awareness still consciousness? I think it is. But the property of no self or pure awareness may still be consciousness, but it's vibrating at such a frequency so high that there's almost no movement. Do you know what I mean? That it almost gets to still point, that it's so high, it's at a still point. So it's simply awareness and not consciousness in motion or experiencing itself yet. I could be completely wrong. I'm just sharing the revelations that I have regarding myself, not saying they're right or wrong. But maybe you're having the same experience, and maybe what I share kind of alleviates some of your kookiness. Anyway, that's all I want to share. Thank you for watching.